Thanks for joining us today, Kris.
So good to be here. Thank you for having me.
So how are you feeling? It's been a super busy year for you. You were on Dubai Bling. You got married. That's huge. You're expanding your business.
Yep. Lots going on last year. Brand new year this year. I'm ready to do it all over again. Not get married again, but just to have some fun again.
Good, because Brianna's watching.
I love you, baby. Forever.
How's being married? I mean, you've been together for a long time.
We were
Has
together.
it changed anything?
A little bit. I feel like when you get married, it does change. Some people say, why do we need to get married if we've been together for so long? They don't need that official paper. Mm-hmm. But I feel like when you get married, when you say I do, and there's a little change. It definitely brought us closer together. We were very close, but I feel like getting married just brought us slightly closer together. There's something, I don't know, there's something more about just saying I do and doing the official thing.
And it's having your community and your friends, and it's doing something, and it's also in front of others.
I remember seeing my daughters come down, and when I saw my daughters come down, that's sort of when it turned to being real, and I got really emotional. And then I saw Brianna come down, and then I was like, wow, like this wave of emotion that I don't think I've really ever felt too much before sort of came over me, and I realized, okay, this is special. And then we had the best wedding ever.
And I mean, did you forget there are cameras around? It was a public wedding. You took the most private moment, you've made it public, and yet you were able to feel all those emotions.
Yeah, it's rare that I don't have a camera around me or something. I've been doing radio for this long, and I share a lot of my life with people. So I knew that there was cameras around because we had our actual wedding photographers there, so I knew that they were around. As you know now, we were filming the reality show Dubai Bling. They had their camera crew. So I think we just had a couple of extra cameras around, but I felt totally solace. I felt alone. I felt at that moment it was just me up there watching all this happen. And like everyone, when they get married, it went so quickly. I wish I could treasure those moments a little bit more.
So what was it like watching that back?
Beautiful, really beautiful. I get goosebumps now when I talk about it because it was really a beautiful moment. They put a couple of really beautiful songs behind our wedding as well on the show, which I think added even more to it. They got a really cute moment between my father and I. They got a really special moment with my daughters and myself, and then just the whole wedding on its own. And they kept snapping to the crowd, and I saw like my friends, and I saw my family and my sister and my brother, and I was like, wow, this is so beautiful. And I've received thousands upon thousands of messages of, thank you for letting us, witness your marriage and your wedding because it was so beautiful.
And you're able to see reactions that you couldn't see while you were in the moment.
So true. Yeah, I've treasured it.
Cool.
But yeah, funny enough, I've only watched the show once. I probably should go back and watch it again. I only watched Dubai Bling once, and I sat through it and watched it with my family and a few close friends. But I think I want to go back and watch certain scenes, especially that wedding scene again.
What was it like watching Dubai Bling?
Initially, it's scary because, when you sign on to do a reality show, especially with the likes of Netflix, you don't get to see the show before it comes out. So you're trusting yourself, you're trusting the edit, you're trusting everything that's involved.
You're giving someone else the power, in a way, over some of your narrative.
Somewhat, but again, I know my narrative. I try to keep it as real as I possibly can. I feel like I've got nothing to sort of hide or showcase. I'm being the person that I am on that show, as I really am. It's not scripted. A lot of people kept asking if it was scripted. It's not. It's pretty much, you play your life out as you would. There may be situations that you may be put in, which may not be your usual situation, especially if we're with other cast members that you haven't met before or you aren't that close with. You may be put into certain situations. But going back and watching it was nerve-wracking initially. But then as the episodes kept going on, it's surreal because you're watching yourself, and you're just watching yourself and you're like, oh yeah, you forget the moments because it's just your life. It's sort of like, it's like me taking you a couple of months prior and go, look, this is what you were doing. And you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, that's me. Oh yeah, I remember that day. I went for dinner but you're watching yourself do it. It's really, it's crazy.
And then when you watch yourself, I mean, are you critical? Do you think, oh, is that me? Why did I say that? Do you think you've been misinterpreted in any way?
Not really. Like, again, I've been doing radio and I share my life on radio. I shared everything on radio. I think that's one of the most important things that I like to do is try to get that human connection. I think that's really, really important. and showcasing my vulnerabilities, I think, is something that's important because other people share the same. You get that human connection with one another. So watching it back, yeah, there were probably some things where I was like, oh, I probably shouldn't have worn that, or, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said this, but, you only live once. I have no regrets.
So only here, there's been criticism saying this shouldn't be the perception that people have of Dubai, that it's plastic, that it's money, that it's superficial.
Yeah. Well, some people say that, but at the end of the day, we can't be fake to ourselves. When I moved here 16 years ago, Dubai was known as the city of gold. We're the same city that just, threw a private party for Beyonce at $24 million for a Beyonce performance. I think Dubai showcases, no matter where you go around the world, there's never anyone that I've met, be it where I've traveled to, where they've gone, where I've said, oh, I live in Dubai, which they haven't gone, oh, you live in Dubai? Because that's what Dubai is. It's the city of opportunity. It's the city of wealth. It does have other aspects to it, which does get showcased in other, hopefully, series, in other possible documentaries. But for the reality show that Dubai Bling stood for, which was 10 quote-unquote millionaires coming together and living their lifestyle, I think it showcased exactly what the show wanted it to showcase.
So people ask, so why did you do it?
Because I wanted to be on a reality show that sat on Netflix, because I know that 20 years from now, I can sit down with my daughters who are going to be 25 years old and go, hey girls, remember when Daddy did that show on Netflix? Let's watch it. And then we go back and watch it. There's no regrets, It's like the same people that said to me, don't go to Dubai. I had people in Australia, are you going to go to Dubai and do that? Don't go to Dubai. Why would you leave Australia for? You're doing well in Australia. You've got great radio. Why would you do that for? I had a job on radio there. It's those same people. And I had people tell me, don't do the show. Don't do it. Why do you want to do it?
Since you've moved here, Dubai has become so much more global than what it was then. No one will ask you, where's Dubai?
No, exactly. People know where Dubai is, right? But people still not sure about Dubai, right? And that's what I love. Like, I think showcasing some of the fine dining restaurants that we had, the shots of Dubai, there is no better looking city.
Beautiful.
There's a couple of shots of the Palm, the Burj Khalifa. Like, when I saw those shots, I was like, wow, this city.
I live in Dubai.
Yeah. It looks so perfect, which it is.
Sure.
So I think showcasing that from just visually of what Dubai is about. I still get people back in Australia asking me, what do you wear at the beach? What can you wear at the beach? Right?
Yeah.
And so being able to showcase what we are here in this city, and also the harmony of, like, the cast was so, we were so, like, multicultural. We were from all different places around the world.
And that is Dubai.
And that is Dubai.
That is Dubai 100%.
That is Dubai. We are all from different places around the world. We all do different things. Could there be another series down the line for another production company to produce, to showcase old school Dubai, maybe that version, or, people that live in different, aspects of where they live? 100%, right? That's sort of what I always say. And I remember seeing on social media, there was a few people going, this is not Dubai. I don't live this life, and I'm like, okay, we get that, but what would you want out of a show?
And we've seen so much of your life and your relationship and your marriage, but we haven't seen too much of your interaction within the house. Tell us, who runs things? Who runs the show at home?
Brianna runs the show at home. Yeah, Brianna definitely does. I'm like, she's the boss. Even now, we just bought our first house here.
Oh,
so we just bought our first house in Dubai together, and we are beginning renovations.
Amazing.
And she has taken that. That's her thing now. She's controlled it. I'm now just, I'm the observer. I ask what we're doing. I can't have too much of a say. She's already told us, no, this is how it's happening and this is what we're doing. She's orchestrating where the wardrobe will go, where her clothes go, where my clothes will go. She's the boss. She's not only the boss at the household, she's somewhat of the boss of Fade Fit, the company that we've created. She's our brand manager. She's our operations director. She really is the eyes and ears of this business. So I rely on her heavily.
And what's it like working together?
Good. We've had to balance it out. She was actually my personal assistant when we first started. That didn't work. That lasted about 3.5 years, and
that's a long time to last.
Yeah, and it was going to end. Either it was going to be the end of our relationship or the end of her being the personal assistant. We end up coming together and just saying, "Okay, stop being the PA." And that was a really good decision. And then she went on to go do some of her own work. She was working in another company for a couple of years, and then when we opened up Fade Fit, I I said to her, I need her. Like I did need her. I needed her to be. It's so important with a company to have someone that you can really trust within the organization. I can't.
Family businesses here in the region,
Yeah.
they're very common.
But
would you ever leave radio if Fade Fit did
No, I'd
incredibly
never.
well? It's already doing well, but let's
Yeah.
say Fade Fit becomes a giant
Nope.
multinational, you would not leave radio.
No, always I love it. A passion. I wake up at 4 o'clock every morning for 15
you do.
years. If I did not like this job, I wouldn't be doing it. It's not easy. I love it. I have a passion for it. Yeah, I would never do it. I mean, I've been already offered money from Fade Fit that I could not have to work again if I didn't want to. It generates enough cash flow for us now to sustain a great living here. But I do radio because I love it and I'm passionate about it. And also a lot of what I do from the outside comes from radio. You know, I work with, Virgin Radio. It's such a strong, prominent brand that, I just watched a 4 doco series of Richard Branson recently, and I just see that man and I just think to myself, that guy's amazing. And I love, he emailed me last year on my account. I got an email from Richard Branson saying thank you to me for something that I did for him. And I was just like, my gosh, it was like one of those moments where I'm like, wow, this is such a beautiful moment that I will cherish. I printed that email out.
Wow.
And I framed it. I'm like,
What did it say?
I had just done something from a personal level, and he had just said, he just literally was just, Kris, I'm just sending a message to say thank you for what you did, and hopefully I'll see you in Dubai soon. And since then, we've corresponded a few times, which has been
Nice.
pretty. When he went up to space, I sent him an email saying congratulations. He replied straight back.
Oh, look at you.
And I was just like, man,
All
this is so
chummy.
cool. I got the Virgin logo tattooed on my ankle here.
Oh.
Yeah, I took 25 Virgin Radio listeners to Thailand for a big trip one day, and whilst I was there, I was like, give me that Virgin star that we have, because
Wow.
it's given me so much. The brand and ARN, the company that I work with here, have given me a life that I would have never been able to have back home.
So you have the Virgin tattoo, you have the patience tattoo
Yeah.
about your divorce.
Yeah.
You have, they tried to bury me, but they didn't know I was a seed. Who
So
tried
good.
to bury you?
Life will always try to bury you. There'll always be something or someone trying to bring you down, and you've just got to keep growing from those moments until you've gone to the bottom. It's very hard to go to the top.
You were at the bottom?
Yeah, at some stage, yeah, definitely. Going through anxiety and depression. If no one's ever gone through anxiety, it's very hard to explain to someone.
Possible.
And it's interesting because I've had people that have recently gone through it who have now reached out to me, friends who have gone, man, now I know what you were talking about, So yeah, I went through I didn't even know what it was. I didn't know what
Was
anxiety.
there a reason, a trigger?
I don't know. I really don't know. Till this point, I'm not sure what it was, but it was just a feeling of helplessness, a feeling of death, a feeling of, what am I doing? Everything's going wrong.
And you felt it physically?
Physically, a lot physically, yeah. Mentally as well, but physically. I went through the moments where I couldn't go into my radio studio. No one knew that. I felt afraid to open up the studio door to do a show, and I'm doing a show to the entire country. How do I do that? And because I felt like if anything was to happen to me, I will lose this and I will lose that, and oh my gosh. So, after sort of speaking to someone about it and just going to see a therapist to really understand, and they explained to me why you have these certain feelings, and the only thing that made me really feel better was getting active and staying fit. And that's why the Fade Fit brand to me means so much. It's not just a snack company. It's more about a lifestyle change for me.
And that's what got you out of depression?
It totally helped. Yeah, I got fit and I was going to the gym. I went to the gym, I remember one day, and after the gym I felt better.
You said, I'm onto something.
I was like, wow, I feel good. And then that wore off about 4 hours later. And so I went to the gym again and I felt better. And then it wore off. And I found this thing of like, wow, if I go to the gym, I'm starting to feel good. So I started going to the gym twice a day, which was probably excessive. And I started to watch what I ate, really watch what I ate.
But you don't know what caused anxiety in the first place?
No, I don't think there's a trigger. I think sometimes it's hereditary, I feel. And we have that within our family, I end up realizing. But I think it's just pressure as well. I think like when you're doing a lot, sometimes you can probably stack too much on you, and then anxiety is all about thinking of things that have never happened before. So you
say you're also a hypochondriac.
Yeah, so you will start to think about things.
What if?
You will manifest these stories in your head that will never occur, but that's what's giving you the anxiety. So you got to try to bring yourself back to where you are right now and go, hey, everything's cool. You're okay. And just going to the gym and watching what I ate transformed me physically. but it also transformed me mentally.
Let's talk about early days in Australia, growing
Sure.
up there, feeling a bit of an outsider because of your roots.
Yep. Yeah, we grew up in a typical Lebanese family in Sydney. My parents migrated fairly young. Mum came over when she was 18, 19, I think. Dad came over a little bit earlier. Growing up in Australia was amazing. Australia is a beautiful country and I love it. Getting into the media industry there though, and I accidentally got into radio. But yeah, just feeling a bit, I wouldn't say an outsider or an outcast. And I think Australia's changed a lot over the last 15 years since I've been away. But I think being that Lebanese person, some of the doors weren't as wide open as for some of my friends that were in the same industry. Unfortunately, the Lebanese in Sydney especially had a bad stigma around them. And there were certain things that happened early on about, 20 years ago that gave us those impressions of, being the quote unquote, the baddies, right? And it's only a very small minority. But unfortunately at that time, the media would really focus on that. And so for myself, of someone with Lebanese being Lebanese, trying to get onto the radio or wanting to, go up the ladder of media, I always felt like there was a block there. I think talent-wise, I had it, but I think just maybe it wasn't the look that they wanted.
And here, do you feel like Dubai's allowed you to embrace more of that part of your identity?
Oh, Dubai is like just it's the pinnacle of, I think, diversity and cultural, acceptance. We have every religion, every nationality under the sun living here. I've learned so much about every other person's religion. If I was still in Australia, I would know nothing about everyone's religion. I know what we eat on certain days. I know what days we're celebrating. It's really...
Careful, I'll test you.
What's that? Yeah, be careful. Yeah. No, but I've just learned so much of it, where being in Australia, I probably wouldn't have ever picked up on.
Kris, you always say you stumbled upon the radio.
Yeah.
So that happened, I guess, luck, charm, meant to be.
Oh, yeah.
What would you do? What did you want to do before you discovered radio?
I didn't know. I didn't step into a radio studio till I was about 23 years old. That was the first time, and not even to work. I was just... I pretty average at school, 39 out of 100. That's what I got, which is not good. It's a fail.
You didn't pass.
I didn't pass, not at all. I thought I would have, but I didn't. Couldn't get into college. Mum and Dad want me to go to university. I couldn't go in. So I went to something called TAFE, which is below university in Australia. I did...
Where was your passion then?
I didn't have one. I was just doing what I thought I had to do. Because you go to college after school, that's what I knew I had to do. Mum and Dad wanted me to repeat school. I said, I can't do that. So I went to TAFE. I lasted about 2 years there doing marketing and advertising. Really just there to kill time, I think. I was working part-time. I was a barista making coffee. I used to wash cars. I was the dryer at a car wash called Crystal Car Wash in Sydney. And then I was selling clothes. I was a clothing shop. I would just sell clothes. So I used to sort of do these three things and do TAFE, this college thing. TAFE finished. I still didn't know what I wanted to do. I tried to get into university. I got into university. I went for 2 weeks and then I quit because I realized it wasn't for me.
How did your mom and dad react?
Oh, I'm sure they were disappointed. They would have been disappointed. They just, why? I did a Bachelor of Commerce. I have no idea about that. Numbers and accounting and all that. Nah. I played football. That's what I did for 2 weeks. I went to class, try to meet girls and play football. Literally, that's why I was at university. And then I realized I had to pay for it. And I was like, hold on, I don't want to get myself in debt here. So I got out before it ticked over, before I would have had to make my first payment. And then I got a sales job and I was selling music. So when you walk into a store and you hear background music, I was selling that. I was going door to door to cafes, restaurants, clothing shops and saying, hey, I've got CDs here. We sell you the music.
How are you as a salesperson?
I think I'm all right. I think I can sell something, which is good. I think I'm all right at that. And so I would sell. And I was doing all right, but then eventually after about a year of doing that, the boss brought me in and said, you should not be doing this job. You're confined into an office. I heard on the radio on the way in this morning, they're looking for someone to drive their promotional vehicle across Sydney. It's a job, like a promotions job. You go out on the streets and you give away cans of Coca-Cola and Pepsi and chips, and you give away free stuff, okay? And I took it as a bit of an insult because she was like, I don't think you belong here. So I auditioned for this radio station job. It was called Job Survivor, like the show Survivor. They got 7 contestants, and for 1 month we had to work for the radio station for free. And during that 1 month, they made us do stunts. One of my stunts was I had to go to a really bad train station at 7 o'clock in the morning, peak hour, take my shirt off, get biscuits with butter, and I had to get random people to stick 96 biscuits on my body because it was 96.1.
And you did it?
Yeah, I wanted the job.
Oof.
And they were crossing to me live, right? And I'm sticking this on. Anyway, after 1 month of doing these challenges, I didn't get the job. Another person got the job. So whatever. About 2 weeks later, the radio station calls me and says, hey, we really liked you. The person that actually won the competition isn't good for the job. We're still keeping that person, but we want them to do another role. Would you be interested in doing the promotional job? I said, I'm in. Because I wasn't really working at this other job. I sort of quit that job because my name was Street Kid Habib because I was an Arab working on radio. They used the quote, Habib. Street Kid Habib is out on the streets of Sydney. Where are you? And I used to be like, hey, we're out here in Parramatta on the corner of this park. Come and find me. I'll be there for 20 minutes. Come and grab your free stuff. And then all these people would rock up. I'd give them all the free stuff.
Wow.
I'd get back in my car and I would drive. Then at the end of the day, I would fill up the car with petrol. I'd take it back to the garage. I would clear it all out. I'd have to wash the car.
And your relationship with crowds started then.
Yeah, that's when I started interacting.
So you're used to this for 20 years you've been doing this.
Yeah, but I got interaction from working in the cafe. Working as a barista and talking to customers every day. I would talk to 200-300 people a day. Hey, how you doing, Julie? How's your day going? You good? And you're making coffee. Like that interaction's there anyway. So what
was the pivotal moment for you?
Well, that access, I used to be able to I had a key to go into the radio studios. Level 3 where all the studios were at. And I remember about 8 months into doing the job, I remember buzzing myself up to level 3 and it went up and the doors open. I'm like, whoa, I'm in the radio studios. I'm like where all the big presenters are. And they knew me because obviously I had been crossing to them. So they're like, hey, nice to meet you, come in. And then I started sitting with them and I just made it more of an effort to go up there and just interact with people. A lot of people are shy. Many people work in office environments or in places where they don't talk to too many people. I'm always an advocate to open up and talk to people in a room because you never know where your next opportunity could be. So I started talking to just the other presenters and then eventually I used to say, oh, do you mind if I sit and watch you do the show? So after my shift was done, instead of going home, I'd just sit there and I'd watch. And I'd watch these radio presenters do their show. And then after more and more time, I had more interest. I was like, wow, I like this. Imagine being able to do this for a job. This is cool. So after doing that for nearly, a year, eventually the boss came in. And the prior boss said, I'm never going to put you on radio, Kris. So you can stop. Like I used to create little demos and send them to him. And he goes, no, I don't like them. He literally told me, I still remember being on the roof of where we were. He was sitting there having a cigarette. He said, I'm never going to put you on. And I was like, cool. And I remember that hurt.
What did you think?
It just hurt. I remember it hurt. I was like, damn. Because I thought that guy knew everything about radio. He got fired. He literally got fired about 3 months later. The new guy came in. I spoke to him. His name's Charlie Fox. I love him, mentor. And he said to me, what's your name? I said, I'm Kris. People call me Street Kid Habib. He's like, I like you. What do you do? I told him what I did. He goes, you're on the radio. We'll put you on. And I was like, oh my gosh, really? He'll put me on? And he gave me a really late shift, but I was on the radio. And I started doing daily radio shows, pre-recorded at night. And then that was my real taste of radio. Then they moved me after a while to the afternoon show. And then from the afternoon show, I did the morning show, the breakfast show, which was a bigger show. And that's how I really got into radio. It was like by accident. And I fell in love with it. And it was such a passion.
But it wasn't just by accident that you got a job. It was by accident that you discovered this passion.
Yeah.
But then you were super persistent.
Yep.
You were persistent. You did the footwork.
Yeah.
Someone told you he'll never hire you. You stayed there. You stuck in.
Yeah, you got to stick.
Stuck it out.
And you got to. I owned a cleaning company with my friend. All right. My friend and I opened up a company called Squeaky Cleaning, and it ran for about 17 months. And I kid you not, to try to make extra money because radio doesn't pay well. Radio is not a high paying job all the time. There are certain few people
Yes.
and shows that can make some good money out of it. And so
You
I
had a
was,
side business.
yeah, I needed money. I was living on my own. My rent was about $280 a week, and I was earning about $280 a week from radio. So I had to make more money to pay for my car. I was smoking.
eat.
I was smoking back then.
Smoking.
I needed my cigarettes, which I don't smoke anymore, thankfully. But I needed extra income. We opened up this company, and my friend and I, we would clean offices at night. So when the offices closed, we would get in there at 8 o'clock, and from
You
8,
yourself would physically clean.
I would do the radio show in the afternoon, and then I would drive and clean the toilets of these with my mate. We used to take alternate days. We had to clean the offices 3 days a week. We had 2 offices. We only had 2 offices as contracted.
Chris, you're Cinderella.
What? Nah,
like, what a Cinderella story. No, I'm serious.
But we had 2 offices, and we had to alternate. So on Mondays I would clean toilets. On Wednesdays I wouldn't clean toilets. So every alternate, and then my mate Mark would have to do the toilet run. So we were cleaning offices at night. I'd get off the radio, and then I'd drive to this office in Darling Harbour in Sydney, if anyone knows it, the Goldsborough building, and we would clean these offices. And we were making okay money. It was just the 2 of us. There was no expenses. We would charge an office a fairly good rate to clean these offices. And it was funny because things started taking off, and we were getting more and more gigs. And eventually the fork in the road there was like, well, hold on, do I continue doing the radio, or do I do this cleaning business? And Mark and I, who are still best mates now, we had a discussion where he was working in banking, and he said, I think let's give it a rest. Let's both concentrate on him doing banking, me doing this radio thing, and we can come back to it. And we shut the business down. And I still remember we sold the vacuum cleaner for $400, and we split the $200 as well. So we both had a little bit more cash. And it was crazy. So
you hustled.
Yeah,
you
hustle, man. And
really hustled.
And that's what it is. And I feel like I've still got that in me now. Like I still want to hustle.
You're still as hungry.
I still want to work. I want to be there. I want to do it. I want to keep going, you know.
For you, this is still the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, just last year I did this Netflix show. It started a whole new chapter in my life, you know. So it's going to be interesting to see what the next 10 years holds. I don't know. I really don't know. But some great things have happened in the last 12 months. In life, there's always chapters, and there's going to be some lows.
Are you enjoying it, or are you running ahead?
I'm enjoying it. I've told myself for this year, I want to enjoy the wins a little bit more. We all experience so many highs in our lives, and I feel like I don't treasure them enough. So I want to celebrate those wins a little bit more, sit on them, enjoy them, and then we can move on to what's happening next. Pretty epic, you know.
If someone told you tomorrow is your last show on Virgin, what would you tell your listeners?
Get me on the podcast. Because I'd still be doing it somewhere, or whatever other radio station I'd be at. But I would hope that I would always be on Virgin Radio, because that is that's my heart. I help create that station. Those, you know, when I landed in Dubai and they said your frequency is 104.4, they gave myself and then my boss at the time, Steve, a computer, and they said, here you go, create the station.
You've had some epic interviews, one that stands out.
My Will Smith interview has always stood out for me, only because he helped me propose to Brianna, but I had to interview him beforehand. So we were in Jordan for a press conference. He was totally in on it, but we had to do this sort of fake interview. And so I was interviewing him, knowing that I was about to propose to Brianna. He knew that I was going to propose.
Isn't that nerve-wracking?
I wasn't.
Is that nerve-wracking?
I wasn't listening to a word that he was saying.
And it's Will Smith in front of you.
Yeah, and so I was doing this interview about Aladdin the movie, and I think in part of the interview at the end I say to him, Will, I am not listening to a word you're saying. And he's like, I know, I can. He's like, do you want to do this? I said, let's go and do this. So that interview alone is something that I will treasure. I recently did an interview with The Rock, who is someone that I really idolize as well. I love The Rock's work ethic. I love what he stands for. I love he's a people person. And he could see the passion that I had for him, where halfway through the interview, he said, hey, listen, man, my team's going to connect with you because I want to send you some stuff. Oh. And straight after that interview, I connected with his team. And then I shot something with him, which I haven't released yet, but him and I had some really cool time on screen together. And I just thought that was really epic. It's one of those moments that I will remember for a long time.
You're there for a lot of people that you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the stories get shared, some don't. Who's been that kind of rock in your life? Who's a mentor to you?
Well, like mentor is someone that I guess I would have said thank you to, and that, there's been a few in my life, I would say. I've got a pretty close family. Like, I've got my uncles, I've got my father, I've got my mother. Everyone plays a certain role that I feel like has molded me to be the person that I am today. I think the most important thing for me is growing up with love. Like, we came from a very loving family.
And being a girl dad.
Oh, yeah. They're getting older. I only go to the gym so I can protect them when they get older. That's it. I box a lot just to make sure, just in case.
You hear that, everyone?
Daddy's going to come out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, being a girl dad's pretty special. They're my everything. They're my everything that I could imagine. And I said recently, it's funny when you create your best friends. Like, I've created my best friends. Like, we're literally like best friends. We hang out. Like, I get angry when they don't want to go out with me. Let's go. Come on. They're like, no, I want to stay at home. I'm like, why not? What? We just had something special happen to one of my daughters the other day, and I was like, let's go celebrate. She's like, no, I just want to stay at home. I'm like, let's celebrate it. Come on. They're like, nah. They're getting at that age now where they're like in their teens where they just
not so cool to be with dad anymore.
Dad, you're cringy. Dad, you're cringy. All right, Dad, you're cringy. And then we go to the mall, and some of their friends come up and take photos with me, and I'll be like, yo, your friends think I'm all right. Why am I cringy? They're like, oh my gosh, stop. It's cute though.
So cute. It's you and the girls.
Yeah, it's part of the growing pains. So like, I'm ready for it.
Ready for more kids?
Yeah, hopefully Brianna and we can start a family. Let's see.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
So what's next for you? I know you don't know. You're open to the universe. Do you see another career?
No, I just want to keep pursuing what Fade Fit's doing. We've become one of the larger local snack companies now in the Middle East.
But will never be the main thing.
No, well, hold on. It may be the main thing, but radio will always be there, and entertainment will always be there.
Television?
Yeah, television to a certain extent. I think, I'd love to host a game show one day. Mm-hmm. I'd love to be a game show host, I think. I think that will be fun. Give away money, give away cars and cash. So there's a lot.
That's why people are sending you their bank account details.
Yeah. Well, that's probably it. They're like, this guy's giving away money. Guys, it's not always my money, I promise. But I think just doing fun things and, giving back where I can. I teamed up with a couple of charities over the last couple of years. I went to Nepal recently where we raised money for people that couldn't see due to cataracts. And they just needed a $20 surgery to fix their vision, and they couldn't afford $20. So we raised, close to just over 100 and something thousand US dollars, which meant we changed, 4,000 or 5,000 people's lives. And I went there and I saw that in Nepal. Like I was in the surgery room whilst the doctor was bringing vision back to these people. I mean, I was just like, wow, those sort of things I want to do more of. And I'm hoping that I get more time to be able to do that as well. So I think, the next, let's see, 4 to 5 years, touch wood, as long as we have our health. Health is everything. Without that, everything stops. So just keep looking after myself, keep looking after my family, enjoy the career that I'm doing with radio, Fade Fit, and just have fun doing it.
Amazing. Well, Kris, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me. It was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.